Hey everybody, welcome back to Crawl TV. I'm really excited to share this episode with you guys because this will be the introduction to our new Jeep. Behind me here is a 1979 Jeep CJ7. This was acquired as a trade deal with my friend Chris Miller. You might have seen him on Instagram as Trail Jeep, TRLJP. Chris and I have known each other for a long time. And we've done a couple of the Power Stop Trail to SEMA trips together. He was out here for our wedding in May. Good friend of mine. And I had recently acquired a 94 Chevy pickup as part of payment for replacing an electrical panel in somebody's house. And that Chevy pickup came out here and it just kind of sat on the side of the road at our house. And I sent Chris a picture of it and he was like, I would love to get this truck. It's an OBS. I have a motor and transmission for it. It's exactly what I'm looking for. Would you be interested in taking this Jeep? And since I had no use for the truck and it's been a long time since I had a Jeep, I absolutely agreed. And so this week I drove all the way from San Diego to Dallas, Texas and picked this up. We did a 1-for-1 swap, truck for Jeep, and Chris even threw in some new 33-inch Maxxis Razor MT mud grips, as he calls them, which really sealed the deal. I mean, this thing is so nice. I'm so excited to have this Jeep project to work on. So without further ado, I wanted to show you guys the Jeep and give you a little tour of what it looks like now, because I gotta be honest, I've already started changing things on it, but only for the better, I promise. So let's jump into it and I'll show you what I got and what our plans are for this to move forward. We want to make a Rubicon Trail trip with this in July, and there's a lot of stuff that has to happen between now and then. The good news is it does run well. So let me show you what we're working with here, and we'll dive in a little deeper. So with this Jeep, there is good and bad, and I'm going to start with the good because I really want to emphasize how great of a starting point we're at with this, and then I can highlight all the little bad things about it, but it's really not that bad. So first thing, good thing, this is an original AMC 304 V8 with a 3-speed transmission. Under the hood here we have our little V8 motor. I went through and topped off all the fluids before I even started driving this around because I figured, A, it probably leaks, and it does. And B, with an old car like this, you definitely don't want to run it around with a dry power steering pump, low on oil, no gear oil in the diffs, no oil in the transfer case, and low on coolant, which is the situation that it was in. Somebody has come in here and done a lot of work. It has a new fuel filter, a new carburetor, a new battery and battery tray, a new alternator, a new starter, and it's got this goofy little horn. Check this out. I hate that. But somebody put some time into this to get it working before Chris got it. And Chris hasn't done anything to it other than just maintain it. He kept it indoors in a garage. And I think he was kind of just waiting for me to pull the trigger to drive to Dallas and come get it. So that's the good starters. I already mentioned that Chris put on some 33-inch Maxxis Razor MTs. That's really good. These tires are brand new. You may have seen them in an episode of Willamette Motor and Fab's YouTube channel. He actually wheeled them through Moab in the snow and got stuck in the snow until about 1 a.m. with these tires, but that's the only trip that they've ever been on. Coming around to this side, the other good stuff about this, 3-speed transmission works excellent. The clutch is extremely tight. There's really nothing wrong with the drivetrain, and that's usually a huge stopping point for me because I'm like, now I gotta drop the transmission and drop the transfer case and immediately start rebuilding driveline parts, which I hate doing. So to get something that runs and drives really well is awesome. Steph and I have already driven it around the ranch a lot this morning because today's her first time seeing it, just like yours. And it drives pretty good, don't you think?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So that's another good thing. It has front and rear seats, but I actually already have seats to replace the fronts with. So I'll call that a good thing because I was prepared for this vehicle before I even knew it existed. I had PRP seats that I originally bought for ROKBUGY, and then we ended up swapping those out as that project went further along, and I kept those seats. So I have some PRP Completes that I'm going to put in here, and that costs me nothing. So that's a huge win. We have dual exhausts coming out the back. The leaf springs underneath here, you can see that they have actually already, over here, they've already reversed the shackles on these. So normally your shackles are in the front. Having the shackle reversal kit in allows the axle to not jump forward and back so much, and it kind of operates a little bit better on the road. So I'm happy that somebody's already done that because that kind of saves me some time. I think right now this has a Skyjacker soft... Our dog is harassing our camera. I think this has a Skyjacker 2.5-inch soft ride spring kit on it right now. The shocks are Skyjacker shocks. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. I'm probably going to end up at some point replacing the leaf springs and shocks, only because there's a lot of lean to the driver's side. I guess the previous owner before Chris was kind of a heavier set guy, and he rode solo a lot, so the suspension's kind of set on a lean. But having the reversal kit in and kind of already having this Jeep lifted is a huge benefit to me, because that means that right away I can kind of start getting used to the vehicle as it rides on 33s. We have worn hubs on the front axle. So these are locking hubs, which means that if you shift into 4-wheel drive, you're still going to be in 2-wheel drive until you get out here and lock 1 or 2 of these. But these locking hubs are awesome. I already took this thing out to the river in Bullhead City, Arizona, and I off-roaded it just enough to get it in 4-low, lock the hubs, and almost get it stuck. So they work very well. But when I was off-roading it the very first time, the tires were at like 50 PSI, and so I almost buried this Jeep, and I would not have had a way to get it out. The bad, let's get into that. Number 1, it has a body lift on it. I'm not a huge fan of body lifts. It just raises that center of gravity on these things. I understand the purpose of body lifts on old Jeeps is to be able to flex the axles and articulate them up into the wheel wells better. I would rather rub tires than have the body sitting up higher. Body lifts create some geometry issues. Like this shifter here, you can see that the boot on the 3-speed transmission is actually like coming off. And the reason for a lot of that, like the transfer case shifter doesn't shift right, is because the body's too high and the driveline is still at the same factory height that it's supposed to be. And body lifts just kind of annoy me for little quirky issues. It's extremely easy to remove on this, so that's going to be one of the first things I do, is taking that body lift back off. One of the bigger bad things I'd say on this Jeep is the welds. I think this was probably like some high school kid's Jeep at some point, and they were learning how to weld on this. To be fair, I only say that because that's exactly what I would do. If I was like a young guy and I owned this Jeep, I would be building my own bumpers, and I'd be fabricating things and doing reverse shackle kits, and I'd have fun with it. But we want to take this Jeep to the Rubicon. I think I already mentioned that. And I don't want to break a bunch of flux core welds all over the place. We will be with our friends Ian and Brittany, and I know that they always carry like a portable welder. I don't want them to have to weld this whole Jeep back together for us though. So we're going to keep that welder in case of emergencies, but I would like to get this thing a little bit more up to snuff. This actually had another bad thing, but it's already gone. This actually had a roll cage welded into it when I got it. And the very first modification I made to this Jeep in Arizona was to take that roll cage out, because I immediately hit my head on it. And the roll cage came off the factory roll bar right here. It came out to the front windshield and then came down and tied into these post bases in the floor of the Jeep. Now you can see my fingers through the floor. There's not much floor here to begin with. And there's nothing beneath this floor that would have supported those roll bars. So if you think about things structurally, there always has to be a foundation. And in a roll cage, usually that foundation is your frame. So when you roll your Jeep upside down, you want that roll cage to be just as strong as the frame. You want it to have something structural above it, which would normally be beneath it. And in this case, if that roll bar were ever used in a rollover, it would have pushed the roll bar down through the floor and trapped the driver and passenger. So it's dangerous. And not to mention, I'm pretty sure it was made out of fencing material. But anyways, I immediately cut that thing out. So that's not really a bad because it's already gone, but it was pretty bad. The seats, I know I mentioned that we have PRP seats ready to go in this thing. The seats that are currently in it, I'm not sure what brackets they used, but they are ridiculously high. Right now, while I'm driving around, my head is pushing the soft top up, which can get kind of annoying. That's why I'm wearing a hat today. But again, that's kind of one of those things, just like the roll bar, like it's already kind of figured out. So I'm not too worried about it. And I guess the only other little thing is that there is a lot of like loose wiring and plumbing that needs to get straightened out. The heater core has been bypassed, so we don't have heat in here. In a Jeep that's never going to have a hard top or doors on it, it's not really that big of a deal to me, but it would be nice to have it hooked back up. All I need to do is get a heater core for it and run the plumbing. And as far as wiring goes, I need to hook up the blower motor. I need to get the headlights fixed because they only have a low beam and they're LED lights. And as much as I appreciate like the output of an LED headlight, this is not period correct. And I am a huge sucker for a classic Jeep, and I don't like Chinese headlights on an old American piece of machinery. So those are gonna come out. And then I think from there, it's just a matter of kind of tying things up and seeing what we like and dislike about it as we use it. And I'd say that's probably one of the most important things about starting a new project is before you get online and start ordering parts for something, figure out your priority list of what you really need and what you can live without. Because when I first grabbed this Jeep, I was already building the list in my head, and I was like, okay, I need moto-built seat brackets, and I need a new best top safari top for this, and I need to get the new Skyjacker springs and shocks. And you can easily bankrupt yourself rebuilding something that doesn't need immediate work. So I'm going to take my time. I'll start with the seats. That'll be the next episode. So it'll be episode 1 of actually working on this thing. For now, I think that we should take you guys for a ride, show you what it sounds like, and let you get to know the Jeep too. It kind of goes without saying, but my favorite part about this Jeep is the fact that it's a V8. I've never owned a V8 Jeep. The closest I've had is the 3.6 in Dozer. And obviously we did put a V8 into a Volkswagen with ROKBUGY, but this being just a classic carbureted V8 is so cool to drive around. If you've never experienced it, I recommend finding somebody with a CJ7 or a CJ5 and seeing what the 304 feels like. But let me show you what it sounds like. Right now we're sitting around 30 PSI. My voltage gauge works, my temp gauge works, my fuel gauge works, my speedometer doesn't, and the odometer doesn't work. But I have a SunPro tachometer on the column here, so I can see RPMs. Although with an old Jeep like this, you kind of just drive by how it feels. Okay, before we take this thing for a spin, I'm gonna shut the motor off so you can actually hear me, but Steph and I have a shared Amazon account, and so she already saw that I've been buying things. And what's one of the very first things I bought? Harnesses. I bought PRP harnesses, and I bought them through Amazon because right now we're between Christmas and New Year's, and PRP is closed. And that's fine, but they have their products on Amazon, so I went ahead and bought them through there. But our seat belts are not okay.
What do you mean?
They don't buckle. They're lap belts. The seats are up high. You can easily get thrown out of this thing, and safety is always like number one on my list of things that I want to buy. So I know we have the seats, now we have the harnesses. Now I just need to build seat brackets to hook those seats up, and then that will be the number one thing that we're doing. I'll show you those seats when we get back down to the house. But now we'll take you for a drive, but just kind of a fair warning, we're not going to get crazy with this thing because it's not super safe yet. So we did take it around a little bit on some mildly off-camera stuff, but I'm trying to avoid that. Let's take it for a spin. That's first gear, straight down. First gear is a very wide range gear. I'm pretty sure this Jeep has 410s in the axles because I don't think it will go above like 50 or 60 miles an hour. But in an old Jeep like this, it's probably as fast as you want to go anyways.
You gotta clean that windshield.
Oh, let me turn this light on.
Oh, perfect.
There's a certain smell in this vehicle, and it smells exactly like my old International Travelall and my old 78 Bronco. It's just very nostalgic. Old motors just kind of let off of this like musk, and it's good. Feels like home. Okay, so that is way too much fun.
Something happened to your friend.
Oh yeah, I should show you guys that. Did I mention that there were bad welds on this thing? My friend David Oliver, who I think I mentioned him already, he's Wilmette Motor and Fab. He is like an extremely detail-oriented fabricator, and he took one look at this front bumper and then took me aside and was like, before you use your winch or your front bumper or kind of anything, you really need to look at those welds. It's not safe. And then I came back to the Jeep and I looked at it and I was like, you know what? He's totally right. They made like 5 passes with an arc welder here, and there's a lot of impurities. They did a really bad job, and then they just tried to grind it. And that's kind of the rule. If you're not a good welder, you better be a good grinder, but they didn't even do a good job grinding. So these tow bar points will come off. As far as this fairlead goes, this actually broke off the front bumper while the Jeep was on the trailer. I'm not even sure how that happened, but it kind of goes to show you that there was some bad stuff going on with these welds. So it's something that, like I mentioned, we're going to have to take a really close look at it to make sure that this thing's ready for actual off-roading before we drive it halfway across the state of California to do that. But without further ado, I wanted to show you guys the seats, because that's going to be the first video of us actually working on this thing. And it'll be kind of a big project because we're making our own seat brackets. Steph is a little bit shorter than me. She wants her seat higher. I need my seat significantly lower. And we have to figure out how to make all that work with those PRPs. So I'm going to go grab those and I'll be right back. There is a lot of stuff in that shed. Okay. Now you may recognize these seats. I've never actually used them, but they've been part of a couple of projects that went different directions. I custom ordered these seats in 2021 through PRP with an employee discount, because at the time I was the sponsorship and events manager for Baja Designs. So I got them on a great deal. I custom ordered them. They have double cross stitching. They have I can't remember the name of these materials now because it's been so long, but they have this like tweed bolster and then this Cordura side piece, and then we have the gator skin on the back. This is like a suede, or not suede, what is that, vinyl? I can't remember.
Vinyl.
Really nice seats though, and they're really comfortable to sit in. Ugh. They hug your body really well. And in a Jeep like this, where you're gonna be rocking and rolling, having these bolsters and having harnesses to lock you in is going to be a massive upgrade for safety, for comfort. And so this seemed like an obvious first thing to work on for me. So that will be the next video. Please stay tuned to Crawl TV. Thank you guys for watching. I know that I kind of come and go. We have a lot of stuff that we work on out here. We live on a large ranch. We have a lot of animals. I'm always busy, but I'm so excited about this Jeep project that I can assure you that there will be content to come. So thanks again. It's good to see all of you. I'll talk to you in the comments, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Crawl TV. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jared Eats.
No, this is Crawl TV.
I'm wrong YouTube channel. Today we're trying to consume the entire Macho Man Randy Savage Slim Jim extra large spicy meat stick. It's not going down super well, but it'll definitely come out well. It'll come out quick and hot
And fast.
We will be there at 4:31 in the morning if we go the speed limit, which we probably won't.